Hello. I didn't see you there. It's me, Chris Smith. I'm just sitting here daydreaming about the new show, The Real World. Look, there's the new cast. It's the new show on Paramount Plus. And did you know that I used to be obsessed with The Real World? I had all the books. And I watched all, well, I didn't watch all the seasons. I watched it until season 12, Las Vegas. And I was watching that season and I'm like, hey, these kids are getting so young. I can't relate to any of them. Not that I could ever relate to anybody on those shows because, but my goodness. So I had to stop at season 12. But I think that's a pretty good run to watch the first 11 and a half seasons of The Real World on MTV. Now, I'm at work, so I'm trying to keep my mask up. But nobody's around and I've sanitized the area. So I had all the books that came out. The Real World Diaries. Oh, yes. The Real World, The Ultimate Insider's Guide. In the House, The Real World Seattle. Now, Seattle was the one where Irene was in love with Neil Diamond, and she wanted to have Neil Diamond's chest hair in a box. And Steven slapped Irene because Irene was leaving because she had Lyme disease, right? And then she told him when she was leaving that he was a homosexual, and that was her gift to him. And because he apparently didn't know. We should check and see if he ever turned out to be. Yes, I just found out that from the interweb that years after the taping, Stephen did come out as gay. Isn't that interesting? So, yeah, so then he slapped Irene, and didn't he throw her teddy bear or something in the water that was by the pier that they lived on? Oh, I felt so bad for that little stuffed animal. So Seattle, that was one of my favorites. But of course, my absolute all-time favorite was The Real World, the original New York one. That was in 1992. I was still in college. Can you believe it? And Julie was a fresh 19-year-old. I was probably about the same age as Julie. Maybe I was 20 or 21. Who remembers? And, well, I should know the year that I was born, but I don't. So Julie, Norman, Heather B., Kevin, Eric, Andre, and Becky were the 7 who were there. And it was from the people who brought us, they had been producers on Santa Barbara. Mary-Ellis Bunham and, was it John Murray or something like that? Yes, Jonathan Murray. And so it was sort of edited to make a sort of soap opera type story, but it was with using real actors, which is a very clever way to save some money. And so, I was all about The Real World. And what was wonderful was that this show was one of the first shows that really dealt with race and issues that people just really weren't talking about as much out in public. Not that this was public. And look, this book is wonderful. The Real World. I recommend these books if you can find them. Of course, you're not going to find them in the store, but this is the true story of 7 strangers picked to live in a loft or a house, whichever you prefer, and have their lives taped to find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. I loved how diverse the casts were. They always mixed it up, and they would have gay people, black, white, Asian people, whatever. I didn't like when they started making them go to work at places because I don't like work. Work is for losers. Worst studio ever. People always come through. But yes, so the show is very diverse, and we just hadn't seen anything like it since An American Family. Remember that PBS documentary that followed a family? They later showed those episodes on, I guess, on PBS again, and they are so boring. But The Real World, I've been rewatching them because they have old episodes on Paramount Plus, which was CBS All Access. I have nothing to do with the company now. You know, I'm not at CBS anymore after what they did to me. But, so I'm just telling you, if you want to go and to Paramount Plus, if you pay for that streaming service, it's very affordable. They have a lot of the old episodes. They have the first 4 seasons, which was New York, Los Angeles. I wasn't too thrilled with that. San Francisco, loved that one. Pedro, Zamora, and all those people. Puck and his snot rockets, remember that? Hey, I'm missing one of my books. I also have Pedro and Me, the book that Judd Winnick did. That's like a comic book about Pedro Zamora's story and their friendship. Oh, wonderful, wonderful book. But I didn't. I neglected to bring that with my collection. But yes, so all of these seasons, and then London, the 4th season. Ugh, boring. Those people. There was the one guy that was obsessed with ranch dressing, and he would have his family ship that to London because I guess they didn't have ranch dressing. And yeah, and then there were guys that always slept on, just slept. Now that, I guess after that, that's when they started putting them to work, so they would have to wake up and do the show. But I just loved The Real World. Remember when Heather B. and everybody went out to that roller rink and they played "Finally It Has Happened to Me Right in Front of My Face, Can't Deny It." You know, a lot of the music, well, most of the music has been changed on the old episodes of Real World New York because of the music rights. Luckily, I own it on DVD, and I think the music is intact there. But it's so sad about music rights. I just wish that there was a way around that because it's just not the same with sound-alike music and, instrumental instead of the actual artist. It's just not the same. But so now everybody has reunited from the original cast in the same loft. Now, I won't give it away. Only one episode has aired. It's multiple episodes. They got together for 1 week in January, and they filmed, just for a week. And I will say one of them, spoiler alert, so many people came by, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Something about the music rights. Well, and then so the old episodes are on there, on Paramount, and it goes to season 4, and then it skips over a bunch of things. You don't get Seattle, you don't get what was the place, Chicago. Well, anyway, Portland, that was one of them. What was the one where they lived in the firehouse? Well, those aren't on there. Then it goes to season 12, that Las Vegas group. That's the one that made me stop watching the show. So, but I'm definitely going to be watching all of the New York one. Oh, I know. I was saying, spoiler alert, somebody in the house may or may not be affected by COVID. Somebody on the show, I should say, not necessarily in the house. So you'll just have to watch and find out what we mean by that. But, oh, it's so good to see everybody again. And like, as you could tell, they all look so good still. Of course, why wouldn't they look good? They're like around my age. And, I mean, yes, we have a little bit of gray on top. But at this age, you're not too over the hill. Julie looks exactly the same. Look at her. I always had a crush on Julie, and I had a crush on Eric, and of course I had a crush on Heather B, and of course I had a crush on Norman. I like to mix it up and just have crushes on everybody. I'm going to do an episode soon about my all-time favorite crushes. I think I've been meaning to do that for a long time. So I have to keep pausing it because people keep going by, and obviously I can't do the thing while I'm unmasked, and I always have the mask on at work, of course. I won't tell you where I work because I don't want you to come and shoot me. Or do I? But anyway, yes, I am just obsessed with the new Real World, and I'm obsessed with those 7. They're still talking about very topical things. They're talking about COVID. They're talking about race relations. They're talking about the world that we live in. Oh, and people have kids. Julie has kids. Andre has kids. It's so cute when Andre's daughter calls, and Julie's daughter is like the age that she was almost when she was in the house. You just must check out this show. I can't say enough about it. And then, yes, stay tuned, and I will do an episode about my all-time favorite crushes. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you to watch The Real World. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.